Mark, please tell me that planes are up in the sky. Tell me you can see planes up in the air.
Nina,
Yeah.
planes are back in the sky.
Okay.
Customers are on the go. We had
Phew.
our first departure. There was a friendly competition, of course, safety first always, without a
Yeah.
doubt, but a friendly competition between the three hubs in Calgary as to who would push back first. And the award actually goes to Montreal, first to get a plane back in the air. And I can tell you now, we've got flights to Japan, we've got domestic flights, we've got flights to Europe
Wow.
back. We're
So,
getting there. We're getting
since we're
back.
on that topic, and you being the chief operations manager, a chief operations officer, sorry, beg your pardon, COO, that's your title. You know all about operations. I'm looking at this nifty little thing you guys have on your site. I hope this can be seen. Anyway, it probably can't, but nonetheless, I will explain. It shows flights expected to operate over the next 24 hours. Beautiful images, graphs showing 61% domestic, 72 transborder, 35% international. So that's over the next 24 hours. And that isn't to say that there isn't a backlog of flights, crew, people, passengers, all of those things still occurring, which I want to touch on. But before we do that, Mark, if I may, there's a feeling that Air Canada was waiting for Section 107 to be implemented by the government. And that sort of came across a little bit with the interview that Michael Russo did with Bloomberg, which I think a lot of people have sort of been repurposing. Because when he was asked, sort of why did Air Canada not prepare, which I don't know necessarily how you can prepare for a strike, but he said, well, we were counting on Section 107. Are you able to address that?
Sure. Not at all. We know that the best deals are the deals at the table. And you know what? That sounds like a nice sound bout. Let me tell you why that's true. It's true because we need to then work with our flight attendants or whatever work group we're negotiating with. It's important that people have their say, that they have their vote. That's the system we're in. That's how it works. That's what we want to respect and pursue. So the best deals are at the table because they produce the best offer. And the best deals are at the table because deals at the table are ones voted on the membership. They're the most sustainable. Our plan A, B, and C for the almost 9 months we've been negotiating has been a deal at the table with CUPE for our 10,000 strong flight attendants. We unfortunately arrived at a point, and I think lots will be said in the coming days and weeks. Right now, our real focus is restoring our operations, getting the planes back in the sky, getting Canadians on the
Yeah.
way. But since you asked the question, and given we're talking to the travel trade community here, they're key stakeholders in this company, in this brand. I think it's
Yeah.
important for everyone to know that there was an enormous amount of effort put into this. The situation is deeply unfortunate. I don't think we needed to be here, but we were. Ultimately, we got a deal at the table that included industry-leading provisions to make our flight attendants the best compensated in Canada. We said from the outset that was the goal of the negotiations for the management team, for the company. Includes ground pay, which has been on the table for several months now. We believe that our flight attendants should be compensated for their important work on the ground, security work, customer service work, etc. And all matters are settled to the extent to which we were able to arrive at an understanding. Um, Deeply unfortunate that we had these disruptions occur, but we did get to a deal.
But there's still a vote to take place. Is that correct?
There's still a vote to take place, but like we
Okay.
did yesterday, we need to provide certainty for the Canadian traveling public, for the travel trade, for the Canadian economy. And so, as an element of our arrangement that we reached last night, there is no chance of a strike or lockout, regardless of what happens next. We've agreed
Okay.
with you on a process. We have a deal, and the deal delivers an industry-leading contract in Canada for our flight attendants, and addresses all the key critical points that CUPE introduced.
So I'm curious a little bit about why you chose the short straw, or maybe it's the long straw, I don't know, to be the spokesperson out making the rounds with the media. I mean, I enjoy interviewing you. I think you're a fantastic spokesperson for the company, but it's not usually the um, chief operating officer who is out there. You would have been Mark Gallardo or potentially Michael Russo doing more. So tell me about that.
Well, this is a Team Air Canada effort. Ariel
Yeah.
Malul Our Chief Human Resources Officer and Public Affairs has been extensively out there. Christophe Enebel, our head of
Okay.
corporate communications, has been out there. Mike Russo, as you mentioned one of his interviews recently, he's been out there. And other folks as well. And you'll now see as we get back. I mean, earlier you showed the website. It's aircanada.com/action. Aircanada.com/action. I encourage all advisors
Right.
to visit. We will have full real-time transparency as part of our efforts to rebuild trust and confidence with the community and of our customers. And we will have a video series that gets updated frequently from several operational and commercial leaders. So this is a team effort.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I think you're all living at the airport or in Brampton, wherever you were earlier today. Yeah. I can't imagine. Listen, talk to me a little bit about what the advisors need to know, what sort of compensations you're putting out there, because I read something about the transportation for passengers being covered by Air Canada. Can we go over that?
Yeah, so some breaking news right here on Open Jaw. So let me go through everything we're going to do here. We got to get the planes back in the sky. We got to get Canadians on the move. We've already begun that. It will begin with a program of 160 mainline and Rouge flights tonight, in addition to the full complement of our express flights, which, by the way, have been operating very well. 90% on-time arrivals, 99% completions,
Right.
including some additional capacity we've added in existing express markets. We will start opening inventory on Air Canada flights over the course of the next few days as we have high confidence that we will operate. The last thing we want to do is rebook a customer to only rebook them again, like double cancellation or triple cancellation. That wastes everyone's
Thanks.
time.
Yeah.
No good. So we'll reopen inventory. We're obviously going to try first and foremost to rebook the backlog of customers that we now share on the new Air Canada capacity, if not on one of 120 airlines, including competitors. We continue to have the refund available the full refund available where that makes sense. We also have the ability to change travel dates up to a year, no change fees collected. We thought long and hard about this. The reality is that we need to make things right. We're going to make a commitment. We're going to make a pledge. These are extraordinary circumstances. So for customers who are on canceled flights that we weren't able to provide a rebooking option to, who purchased alternative plane tickets, or maybe it was a train ticket or it was a ferry ticket or something like that, we are going to reimburse those customers. And we're going to
That's
set
a
up a program
rich offer.
just that.
That's a very rich offer.
These are extraordinary
Yeah.
circumstances. We should have never been here. We need
No.
to regain trust and confidence. And this is one of many measures that we're going to take to do just that.
And the shareholders are behind this.
We believe in managing the business for the long term, and the strength and the value of the Air Canada brand it's priceless. Every time we put a new flight into a new international market, it does well because we have the support of the trade, because we have Aeroplan, because we have the Air Canada
Yeah.
brand. And so what we need to do now is we need to protect and defend our brand. We need to deliver for our customers. We need to support our business partners in the trade community. And all of that is a lot less expensive than the alternative. And the entire Air Canada team, our finance team, everybody is behind doing what's right to protect the brand.
You know, there's going to be naysayers out there who will say that money could have been saved by making an agreement with QP and the flight attendants a bit earlier rather than incurring all these costs and now the compensation costs. So there's going to be always people who criticize, and you unfortunately have to deal with that.
Look, as I said, in the coming weeks and months, I'm sure much will be written, much will be
Yeah,
speculated, much will be said about the negotiations and the process. The job right now, job number one, that we've been able to welcome back our 10,000 flight attendants and give them a Canadian industry-leading contract that they deserve. The job number one now is getting our customers on the go. And that's what we're focused on. And that's exactly what the priority of myself and all of my coworkers is going to be.
yeah. So how long before you can catch up?
We're advising it could take 7 to 10 days to stabilize operations globally. I'll give you an example. I realize this is a very expert community, but take, for example, 33 going to Sydney from Vancouver tonight. Um, the flight takes about 17, 18 hours to get down there. That's a day. We don't have any crews anymore positioned, so our crews have to have appropriate rest, of course. That's a
Yeah.
day. And then the plane has to come back another 17 hours or so. That's another day. That's 3 days just to restart one rotation, and think of that
Wow.
all over the world. We've got to move the planes out of their Tetris parking positions, and we need to do that safely. And then while we've completed a lot of maintenance while the planes were on the ground the last few days, which is great, planes don't like to sit. They need to
No.
fly. So we expect that we are going to face incremental new maintenance challenges as we fire up those engines on planes that have been sitting for a while. So we kind of look at all of those things. We got to get the crews and we got to position them. We got to get the planes out of parking. We got to make sure that there aren't maintenance issues and all the rest and all that. And that leads us to saying we think that this is a 7 day startup when all is said and done. Of course, we're going to endeavor to do it as quickly and as safely as possible. And again, full transparency, aircanada.com/action. Go there and you'll be able to see our results.
It's fascinating. Listen, Mark, as long as I have you, tell me a little bit about morale, the atmosphere. What are the flights like? What are the flight attendants, feeling now? Can you talk to that?
Um, the Air Canada team has come together like I've never seen before.
Hmm.
We have 5,000 coworkers right now working on rebookings between the contact centers and the airports. They're doing overtime. They're showing up. We have our pilots, our mechanics, our flight attendants from the period from the time at which this difficult period ended. They're picking up their phones. They're coming to the airport proactively. They are ready to go on board. In fact, I'm at Pearson right now, and I
Yeah.
spent my afternoon walking to different flights before they departed to meet our flight attendants, to
Right.
welcome back my coworkers, to make very clear that we understand we need to rebuild trust and confidence. And this was a very difficult last few days. And that's exactly what the entire Air Canada team is going to be doing. So, are things perfect? No. But I think if I had to put it this way, we are looking past ourselves and any internal issues, and everyone is united around serving the customer. And I could see that very clearly in our flight attendants this evening.
You can bet the other airlines in Canada are watching this very closely and looking at the ground pay, which is precedent setting, certainly in Canada. I mean, it's happened in the US, but not here. So that'll create a lot of discussions, I'm sure, at other boardrooms and new union centers as soon as their contracts are up. So interesting times we live in. I'm so glad to hear that the planes are up. This is what we've been waiting for all these days, so we can start to normalize. I realize it'll take a few days. And the information about covering the transportation, where do travel advisors get that info?
Yeah, so we'll be publishing it shortly. Things are moving very
Okay,
fast. Just given we were together right now, I'm sure I'm going to get in some trouble from the team, but I just wanted to make sure that you had that breaking news and that the
appreciate it.
community has it here because I know they're going to come here first. So it's just the best way to get the information out, I'm sure. In the next several hours, if it's not already, everything will be posted online and made
Okay,
available to what the parameters and what the process is going to be.
thank you so much, Mark. I hope you get some well-deserved rest tonight.
Thank you. And I hope that for you as well, Nina. And again, on behalf of the whole team, a huge thank you to the travel trade community out there for everything you've done to support Air Canada, the operational recovery here. And just know we're going to make it right.
I'm going to make it right. Nice statement. Love it. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Merci.
Merci à vous.